Texas is joining Nevada and Iowa in attempting to increase the transparency of the state's voting reporting system. That state has even made public their state delegate equation. That's important since Texas has the second highest number of delegates behind California. Accurate reporting becomes particularly crucial in close races, and according to University of Houston Hobby School of Public Affairs poll, Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders are in a virtual tie in the Lone Star State.
There we go. Updates to the reporting system come after Texas Democrats raised concern of past delays in calculating delegates. Here to tell us about the state's plan is the executive director of the Texas Democratic Party, Manny Garcia, joins us via Skype. Manny, it's great to see you.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Manny, tell us, first of all, when can we expect the returns from the contest on Super Tuesday? I ask all the state Democratic Party chairmen this for our audience because they're anxious to know the timeline.
So here's what's going on. As you go throughout the night, you're going to have county election officials release those results to the Texas Secretary of State. The Texas Secretary of State is going to be publicly posting those results as we go throughout that entire night. You're going to see precincts being reported, and that's going to give you a statewide percentage as well as a Senate district percentage. That's important to note because we do our delegate math on two different things, at large and within Senate districts. Those combined together equal all the delegates that are at stake here. So you may get 15% statewide, and that qualifies you for some of the at-large delegates. But the majority of our delegates are given via Senate district performance. And that really ensures that there's competitiveness everywhere. Now, some of our larger counties may take a little bit longer into the night to their results come in. At the end of the day, we'll get all of those results in. The Texas Democratic Party will verify that, look at the county election results, look at the Texas Secretary of State election results, and then we will publish our delegate math and release those numbers.
Mm-hmm. And how is the early vote going? Are you seeing robust turnout there at this point?
It is outstanding. We are exceeding 2016 levels right now. In many places, we are outvoting Republicans in the Republican primary. We're also hearing that a lot of committed Democrats who come primary after primary have actually been waiting to see how Nevada and South Carolina have carried out and these more recent debates in order to make their decision. So I think you're going to see a whole nother rush of folks come in on Election Day.
And so do you have updated numbers about how many ballots have been cast in early voting to your knowledge?
I don't have those numbers in front of me right now, okay. But they have been published on the Texas Secretary of State's website. There is a running account by day. Now, of course, it's always important to qualify that this is the information that county election officials give to the Texas Secretary of State. And so they're only as good as the information being sent in as quickly as it's being sent in.
Right. Sure. Manny, one thing I want to ask you, how is Latino turnout looking within the Democratic primary in Texas this time around compared to last time? We saw a larger turnout, I think, in Nevada in particular. It's something we've kept our eye on for quite some time.
The Latino community is core to the Texas Democratic base. It's core to the entire state of Texas. And it's going to be critical for any of the presidential nominees in order to receive delegates from this state. When you begin to see that, like Harris County, for example, which is larger than 20-something states, when Harris County performs at high levels, it's because the Latino community and the African-American community are turning out at high levels. And so I think we're seeing really robust turnout right now. I think we're going to see continued increases along the way. But, a note on Latino organizing and the importance for the Texas Democratic coalition. I often get asked, what is our outreach strategy to the Latino and African-American community? And I say when Latinos are 40% of the entire Texas population, it is the bulk of the strategy. The bulk of the work should actually be engaging Latino and African-Americans and people of color because that is the rising Texas electorate.
Yeah. And which campaigns do you think are doing that well? I mean, in Nevada, we saw a stunning result for Bernie Sanders. Some analysis said he won upwards of 73% of the Latino vote in the state of Nevada. Now, I know it's a diverse constituency. Numbers may be a little bit different in Texas, but does it seem like they have an edge in terms of organizing on the ground there as well? Or are there other campaigns that you see as competitive there?
Here's what I'll say: that the Texas Democratic Party administers the primary in the state, and so we're very careful
Of course.
about commentary regarding the presidential campaigns. But what we will say is we've had a very different treatment from presidential campaigns towards Texans, and that's been consistent the entire election cycle. Just very early on in 2019, you saw just about every presidential candidate come to this state, engage, and come here not to just do fundraising, which we have seen for a long time. We were the national ATM of Democratic races. Instead, what you started to see is people work hard to earn the Democratic vote in this state. From the Houston DNC debate that happened in September, but really consistent trips over and over and over again, rallies, town halls, and organizing, boots on the ground, folks opening offices all across the state. It's been an entirely different experience for Texas Democrats to be able to engage with their presidential candidates.
Manny, I also want to ask you this, which is there's a lot of talk right now around superdelegates and broker conventions. As the chairman of a state party itself, what is your opinion on whether a candidate should, if they come in with the plurality of delegates into the eventual Democratic convention, should they walk out as the nominee?
First, I'll say I'm the executive director of the party,
executive director.
So I take my orders from my chair, Gilberto Hinojosa, and I'll definitely follow his lead. As far as the party's concerned, we have a set of rules. These rules have been designed and in place. People have been working on developing these rules, and they really grow out of the learnings of the 2016 campaign, which made us all face some very serious questions, and to make sure that we could get more voices into the room, and could we make sure that we are more transparent about all of our processes across the country. Years ago, Texas, for example, got rid of the Texas two-step because we had a primary and a caucus, and the caucus system made it harder for people to participate. We have a straight primary now in order to make sure that more people could participate. So we have a new structure. We've been going through this process. And as we go into the national convention, we look forward for folks to get excited about our candidates. I think we're going to see many candidates be able to qualify for delegates out of the Texas delegation. And then we're going to have a conversation about what's best for this state, what's best for this country. We look forward to going into the convention. At the end of the day, when all of these folks that come together at the national convention, who are they? They are the Latino and African American people of Congress who have been the backbone of this party. They are the Latino, African American, Asian American, Pacific Islander, rural Anglo, suburban folks who have been the backbone of this party. They are the activists of this party. The people who are the national delegates are the most committed to these presidential campaigns, who've been working day in and day out. And those presidential campaigns actually select who they are. They get elected at state conventions, and then they go to the national convention. So this is a true representation from the grassroots up of who puts in the hard work and puts in the hours for their campaigns and for the entirety of the party. We're all going to come together. We're a great big family. There's always disagreements within the family, but at the end of the day, we need to come out of like a family.
But Manny, how are you going to explain to Texans if their votes are basically invalidated by a group of superdelegates at the convention? Isn't that going to cause dissent that could ultimately reelect Donald Trump?
Once again, if you look at the way the structure of the national delegate, who represents whom, right? When you win, your votes say how many delegates you get. That is your representation. Your delegates are then elected at the state convention. And if you're not a delegate for the presidential candidate that you're representing, that presidential campaign has the authority to remove you. So, this is a representation of the Democratic primary vote and who consists of those national delegates. And those are the folks that come in. When you're talking about the superdelegates or the automatic delegates, let's remember this is that they have done recent rule changes after the 2016 election that made sure that they weren't pledging on first round. They're not even voting on the first round. That conversation doesn't come in until we get into the second round and we start looking at who can get by the rules, get over the count of folks necessary in order to win.
Well, Manny, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Manny.
Appreciate you all having me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Next on Rising, Nancy Pelosi seems to be embracing Sanders being at the top of the 2019 ticket. We're going to dive into some of that with David Pakman.